I promise you, I will not let you down.
We have a demographic problem. Our population is too old.
Canada's Conservatives will meet our Paris climate commitment.
For a simple guy from the prairies to stand before you today. Stop the deportations. We need 700 young people driving truck.
Thank you.
And we will bring a direct flight to Amritsar. Shame on Justin Trudeau for trying to deport these wonderful students.
Why weren't Canadians vaccinated in January and February like everyone else?
We will restore the best immigration system in the world. Speaking of healthcare, we've got 20,000 immigrant doctors, 32,000 immigrant nurses in Canada today who cannot work.
This guy prioritizes foreigners all the time in his rhetoric. We even saw it today when he's talking about trying to dunk on Trudeau for his mass immigration stuff. It's a broken system. And he is prioritizing the foreign workers once again, even today in his rhetoric.
System in the world. Speaking of healthcare, we've got.
So you guys already heard all this. Anyway, so yeah, and it's important. I want to emphasize this in the show because we've seen Pierre Poilievre before, and he has de-radicalized the base of the Conservative Party ever since the trucker convoy. Okay, he has completely thrown out anything to do with the COVID tyranny, and the epitome of this is how he called Christine Anderson a Nazi. Christine Anderson is a foreign MP from Germany who said Justin Trudeau is a disgrace to democracy because of his tyrannical and authoritarian actions at the trucker convoy. Okay. And I wanted to do a show today because there is just, it's really kind of proves the point that this guy is not a leader at all. Who was someone who opposed mass immigration before Pierre Poilievre, the official opposition? Justin Trudeau. Justin Trudeau actually gave numbers. He gave numbers today. He said, hey, we're actually going to reduce the numbers from 500,000 new permanent residents in 2025 down to a lower number. Of course, if you care about this topic, these numbers are not even close to being low enough. But Justin Trudeau is throwing out numbers. Pierre Poilievre has not even been able to do that. Why? You know, this is supposed to be the official opposition and the potentially next Prime Minister of Canada. And he's afraid to talk about immigration? Something that we've talked about on the show of Controlled Opposition before, because really this show is about calling out the fake conservatives. We've talked about how Pierre Poilievre has just accepted, and along with all of his supporters, are just a slave to the media. Like he's quite frankly a follower and slave to the media. If he can't say something within the purview of political correctness, if it's not something that Justin Trudeau approves of or some liberal think tank approves of, then he won't even say it. And this totally proves my point. And we saw it earlier with, I brought up this example, but I'll go over it again. We saw this with the foreign worker thing. A few weeks ago, Justin Trudeau said the foreign worker program isn't working. We got to prioritize Canadian workers. And then the same day, Pierre Poilievre was like, yep, I agree with Trudeau here. Actually, and Trudeau's bad because of it. This guy is antithetical to leadership. He's antithetical to leadership to the point where he won't even oppose mass migration until Justin Trudeau does it. And he's not even really doing that. He is prioritizing foreign workers in so much of his rhetoric. Okay. And why is this important? This is important because he might be the next Prime Minister of Canada. And a lot of people are sort of normalizing this idea that we need to be slaves to the political correctness of the Canadian news media at all times. And, you know, I really just feel, and you can even see the evidence, that Pierre Poilievre is the new multicultural all-star. He's the new Justin Trudeau. He's the Justin Trudeau from 2015. build the tax, bring it to home, like, bring more people in quicker. He has all these nice catchphrases, and he is as multicultural as they come. This guy is all about the multiculturalism. He is watering down what it even means to be Canadian, if you haven't noticed. This is a great example. He tweeted out this photo several weeks ago, and the caption said, "Met common sense Canadians in Halifax. Nova Scotians want a common sense conservative government." These are the Nova Scotians. He's been doing this a lot. Does this look like Nova Scotia to you? Do this look like Canadians to you? And guys, this is important because this is also what they're pushing in the States, by the way, the conservative, GOP, that, it's this sort of like being American is this colorblind thing. It's a meritocracy. It's a colorblind meritocracy. And that's the same thing they're pushing here in Canada, where being a patriot can mean being Chinese or being East Indian or being any color at all. And this is super alarming for anybody who wants to protect the integrity of what it means to be Canadian, being something that reflects European culture and Christian values. Because this is something that clearly Pierre Poilievre does not give a shit about and is not at all interested in advocating for or promoting. What's the other kind of major points here that I want to touch on? He is thank you for the super chat, Nicholas. They're all the same. No faith in these leaders. I mean, it's kind of cliche to say that, but you're absolutely right. They really are all pushing the same stuff. They push the United Nations development agendas. This guy, Pierre Poilievre, also wants to meet his Paris climate targets. Shout outs to Rob Primo. He confronted Pierre Poilievre and asked him about that, and he said, "We're gonna meet the Paris climate targets." And this is our guy. This is the guy. This is the guy that's pushing us to the future of Canada. And the whole point of the show is to make people aware of this and to make them realize hey, you're not crazy. This guy sucks. People need to start realizing that this guy is not going to be helping us on the major issues. It's literally, this is a great meme from the ferryman. This is black-pilled guy over here. "My town is overrun with immigrants. I was laid off so my company could hire subsidized foreign workers. I'm competing with thousands of Indians for every job I apply to. I can't find a home to rent, let alone buy. My daughter is constantly being leered at. A Sikh gang stole my truck. Can you please address immigration? Best I can do is axe the tax on Netflix." Despite the overwhelming number of viral videos, I put some of them in the intro of tonight's show. You have the truck crashes, the crazy traffic accidents happening more and more often in Canada. There's an epidemic of car thefts happening in Canada. There's clips of Uber Eats delivery drivers spitting in a delivery drink, not even thinking twice about it, showing no remorse whatsoever. The massive lineups to job fairs. Canadians have been seeing this. Canadians who aren't even political have been seeing this. And this guy, who might be the next prime minister, is afraid to say anything. He's afraid to connect any of these issues to mass immigration. It's all so just insulting, and people cannot accept this. We cannot accept this guy and his weakness and his failure to stand up. Because let's think of the rebuttal. What's the rebuttal we're going to get from these people? They're going to say, "Well, he's the only thing we got. He's the only choice we got. He's the only thing that we can vote for." Okay. So I guess we're just going to accept the problem getting worse. We're going to accept this guy who wants to get even more immigrants in here quicker, and we're just going to accept things getting worse. The solution to the problem really isn't anything simple. I'll give you that. But the first step to changing this is to have self-respect for yourself and not accept another shitty, pardon my language, shitty leader running the country. It's like we're in Groundhog Day once again. And I wrote about this in a Substack, but I think it bears repeating, which is these foreign workers and these international students, they were out protesting for what they wanted, and they're not even citizens of Canada, okay? They're not even citizens of Canada, and they're out here protesting, changing the rules of the land that you and I live in. Why is a non-citizen and a non-white person advocating more civic agency than you and me to change stuff? They're organized, they got signs, they know what they want, they have their demands. And then when you talk to the average Canadian, it's, oh, geez, oh, I don't know. Oh, I guess we can't do anything about that. Oh, I guess we'll just sit on the couch and vote for Pierre Poilievre. And I mean, sure, Pierre Poilievre might be adding to the cultural erasure of our nation and the radical demographic change that we're noticing. But what am I going to do about it? I can't be called racist. It really starts on an individual level. You know, it starts on an individual level, and people need to understand this because every single other tribe, every single other group is being serviced. If you're a white Canadian, especially, you are not, these politicians take you for granted. They don't give a shit about you. Why would they? You don't even have any self-respect to stand up for yourself and say, hey, what about me, Pierre Poilievre? You know, hey, I actually really want to, hey, Justin Trudeau, hey, Pierre Poilievre, I don't think Justin Trudeau's numbers are low enough when it comes to mass immigration. And I don't really appreciate the fact that you're not advocating for my needs as a white Canadian. You're constantly taking pictures with East Indian Canadians who just got here. You're constantly rubbing shoulders with the foreign workers, saying that we need to get you, stop the deportations. And of course, what we're going to see next is this sort of astroturfing as if that never happened. You know, the Conservative Party is probably in their war room right now being like, okay, what are we going to say to like sort of oppose mass immigration, but also still like not be racist about? It's the same thing they've been doing. They do all these focus groups. They try to figure out their messaging, and they just come across as weak. And again, antithetical to leadership and antithetical to wanting to save this country. It's really just like someone said in the chat, they're no different than these other politicians. They just want their power, and that's it. They just want to serve their lobbying groups. It's absolutely atrocious. Absolutely atrocious. And really, why can't we call for deportations? Uber Eats delivery guys spitting in drinks, the traffic accidents, the disgusting, like, you know, creepy behavior of some of these people. Like, they really are insulating Canadians and conservative supporters from the real conversation, which does have to do with race, which does have to do with this kind of tribal reality we are now living in. But just to reiterate, in case the mic was broken at the beginning, this guy is not even opposing mass immigration. He's embracing multiculturalism. And that's a problem. We want to get Trudeau out. Let's look at every major problem that we've been experiencing under Trudeau. Sure, a lot of it has to do with political correctness, the climate change stuff, the rising crime, the homelessness, the crisis of the housing crisis. You know, all of these things connect to mass immigration. And Pierre Poilievre made this like really nice 15-minute video all about the housing crisis a little while ago. Go back and watch it. Do you think this smart Poindexter, who's really good at math, does he mention anything about mass immigration? So not only is he not opposing mass immigration, he's lying to you. He's lying to us. He's not even honestly telling you, connecting those dots between crime, housing crisis, and mass immigration. He's refusing to connect those dots. But we got to get Trudeau out. You know, like, I guess the point is, Houston, we have a problem. You know, Canada, we have a problem. This guy leading the country, oh my God. And on top of that, he is pro-foreign war. Not just one war, but two wars. Watch this clip. Pierre Poilievre fuming that Trudeau hasn't sent enough to Zelensky.
And it will be conservatives who will continue to stand with the Ukrainian people now against the illegal, unjustifiable, and ego-driven bloodshed initiated by Vladimir Putin. We will stand up every day and every way in favor of the export of 83,000 CRV-7 missiles that the Ukrainian government has asked for. We also call on the government to keep its promise that thus far has been broken to deliver air defense systems, $400 million of which were announced on January 10th.
Okay, so he sent, holy crap. So he serves Ukraine. He serves East Indians. Do you see what's going on here? Like, I love clips like this because all of these coping Canadian Conservative Party like supporters, they say, no, he can't say anything crazy like opposing mass immigration, but he can support sending more weapons to Ukraine and say, yes, more foreign wars. He can say that at the drop of the hat, but he can't oppose mass immigration. Why? It's clear that he serves certain groups and certain people, but it's not the Canadian people. And it's certainly not the old stock white Canadian people who want to maintain the European history and, Christian traditions of this place. He's not at all serving that group. When's the last time you saw him say or do anything that would specifically speak to the interests of that group? You can't find it. You could find probably an Easter post from like 2 years ago. Hey, look, he talked about white Christians. Yeah, when's the last time he did that? This guy's wearing a turban every other day now. He is Mr. Dress Up 2.0. And it's so obvious. And it's like, I guess part of the reason of making this episode tonight is to kind of just continue to like poke people and twist to let them know, yeah, it's actually way worse than you think. Getting rid of Justin Trudeau is not going to solve all these problems, folks. Like, just want to remind you how deep this problem is. And it wasn't just promoting war in Ukraine. He's also promoting war in the Middle East.
Yesterday you said that you endorse Israel proactively defending itself by hitting Iran's nuclear sites, which is something that President Joe Biden does not endorse. Do you not feel like this could lead to a likelihood of an all-out conventional war between Iran and Israel? And do you not agree with Joe Biden and his assessment?
I think the idea of allowing a genocidal, theocratic, unstable dictatorship that is desperate to avoid being overthrown by its own people to develop nuclear weapons is about the most dangerous and irresponsible thing that the world could ever allow. And if Israel were to stop that genocidal, theocratic, unstable government from acquiring nuclear weapons, it would be a gift by the Jewish state to humanity.
A gift to the wow. But he can't oppose mass immigration. He can support war with Iran, even though our military is completely cooked. But he can't oppose mass immigration. The people who say this are either ignorant or they're just shills themselves who say, oh no, Pierre Poilievre can't say that. That's too dangerous. The media's going to call him names, but he can support war. He can support a foreign war in the Ukraine. So he can serve the Jewish interests. He can serve the Ukrainian interests. He can serve the East Indian interests of Canadians who are just getting here. Where's the Canadian part? Where is the serving of Canadian interests? I'm genuinely curious. Like, I would love to see, other than stopping the carbon tax, that's about it. Because the rest of what he's doing is just misdirection. It's misdirection, it's dishonest, or it's just outright like lying, an insidious lie that he continues to tell. And just this clip is so interesting because, did Benjamin Netanyahu write this for Poilievre? Because the rhetoric is pretty well identical to what a foreign government, the Likud party in Israel, would essentially say. These guys are genocidal maniacs. These guys are genocidal barbarians. So we have to bomb them. We have to escalate the defending ourselves. And, you know, I'm not an expert on geopolitics by any stretch of the imagination, but I know that this doesn't help Canada. I know that Israel bombing Iran doesn't help Canada. There's going to be a refugee crisis. More angry Muslims are going to show up after bombing Iran. If the war continues and develops into a third world, a third world war, what do you think is going to happen to gas prices and supply chain? It's going to be terrible. Cost of living would be horrible. There'll be even more divide and conquer tactics and chaos going on in Canada. I'm still waiting on the benefit. I'm waiting on the sort of like the big sort of gift that we'd be getting from Israel for bombing Iran. And, you know, it's so interesting because he will do something like this and cozy up and say, I'm just a guy from the prairies and we need to do everything we can to protect the Canadian people. You know, they're genocidal. And here's a clip that came out of Delhi, India recently. Wife is flogged 100 times by husband and then sexually assaulted by crowd after she was accused of adultery in Delhi, India. So, you know, because we're told that it's only Iran, it's only Israel's enemies that are barbarians and uncivilized. Do you know how many clips I could get from India of Indian culture that could fit the same category? But for some reason, you know, these Conservative Party supporters are like cozying up to the East Indians. You know, you'll see it every day. You'll see every day Pierre Poilievre in a turban or speaking some foreign language. To include it's so it's hate Muslims, but love East Indians. That's sort of the message that we're receiving, not just from Pierre Poilievre, but, you know, the conservative establishment as a whole. We're seeing what's another good example? Of course, we've seen Ezra Levant, our friend Ezra Levant, and he has started a campaign actually a year ago. Deport Hamas. He wants you to deport Hamas. So is it a Hamas supporter? Is it like terrorists that we find in Canada that we're going to deport? Is it anybody who supports Palestine? None of that is ever clarified. But here's Ezra Levant saying deport Hamas, not deport all the East Indians coming in here, not deport, you know, the foreign workers, not deport the people who are crashing trucks on the highway, not deport, you know, the people spitting in our Uber Eats delivery drinks, not deporting any of these people that are getting in here illegally or any of that. No, just deport Hamas. I mean, think about that. Think about that for a second. The most mainstream conservative in Canada who's calling for deportations is Ezra Levant, and it's to support just Hamas supporters. Or just Hamas, whatever that even means. Those are the only people we're deporting, guys. Just the Hamas supporters. What about everybody else? What about all this other crime going on? All this other disgusting things going on? No, just deport Hamas. That's the most popular right-wing platform. That's what they're saying. Just deport Hamas. And it's being echoed by Pierre Poilievre. Because he hasn't even said, I oppose mass immigration. What has he said the other day? He had a sign on his podium saying, ban the terrorists. Ban the terrorists, which in many ways is the exact same thing as what Ezra Levant is saying. So again, not any of these other things that are going on in the country, crime that are affecting communities across this place, the housing crisis. No, just ban the terrorists. And it's all to say, really, that it really feels like, once again, the interests and the priorities of Israel and Jewish Canadians, this is what's at the top of the priority list for this Conservative Party of Canada. What other explanation is there? If you can tell me one, let me know. Because, you know, we're getting a weird two-faced message from the Conservative Party and their supporters, which is, you know, Muslims are the enemy. some degree of Muslims. Can't have any Muslims. We need to bomb those people over in Iran there. But also, East Indians are Canadians just like me. You know, they may occasionally flog their wife in the street. They might be barbarians too. But no, we love multiculturalism. Except Muslim culture. Except the Muslim culture of the people that don't like Israel. It's so hyper-specific to the interests of a foreign country, Israel. And they're not even trying to hide it, really. Like they're not even trying to hide it. A good clip of this is, I'm guessing he now supports the Conservative Party of Canada. But this is because the Conservative Party of Canada supports bombing Iran. But this is someone named Daniel Boardman, and he's outside of this Hanuman statue saying it's a good thing. I love the Hanuman statue. You know, he's got
Lord Ram, which you see the famous Jai Shri Ram.
So funny.
And that's, I think, pretty important for today. I mean, we got a situation where temples are being attacked, churches are being burned down, synagogues are being vandalized, and all because people...
Oh, I didn't mention mosques.
Just want to worship the way they want to worship, and radicals and, you know, whether it be Islamists, Khalistanis, whoever, Marxists, they hate our country. And the people here are really proud Canadians. And they really do take in the values of Lord Hanuman, which I think is good for Canada. Every time I go to a Hindu heritage event, which is in November, they always have free poppies for everyone to honor the troops. Don Cherry would approve. I think...
Very cool. Very cool. So what Daniel Boardman is saying is that we should embrace multiculturalism. We need to be more multicultural. This is essentially the message that he's sending, right? It's like we need to be more accepting of East Indians, of Hindus. This is Canadians. Hinduism equals Canadianism. This is the whole part of the problem, folks, that Justin Trudeau started back in 2015. A Canadian is a Canadian is a Canadian. Just starting to water down what it means to be Canadian. And that hasn't stopped. And the baton is being passed to Pierre Poilievre, who's doing the exact same thing. He's having photos of his Chinese supporters and saying, hey, look, these are patriots. Here I am with a bunch of patriots. Here I am with a bunch of people from Halifax. It's absolutely crazy. And it needs to be called out. And, you know, Canadians, once again, who represent the old stock, who want to champion the European heritage and Canadian values of this place, we need to start emphasizing, like, hey, start serving us as a group of people, because currently right now they're not doing that. I see Pierre Poilievre serving the interests of Israel. I see Pierre Poilievre serving the interests of Ukraine. I don't see him serving the interests of Canadians. But yeah, Edgy DTV says, so if they wear a poppy, they can stay. I mean, exactly. It's this country is just in such a mess right now, and this idea that Pierre Poilievre is going to save us, someone who's too pussy to even publicly say that I oppose mass immigration, is just hilarious to me. It's just very hilarious to me, and I don't see much changing until it changes on a personal level. I don't see much changing until it changes on a personal level among Canadians, because, you know, he is the guy. They are doing a good job at serving people and saying, hey, we're going to stop the carbon tax. People are getting so desperate. They just want things to be cheaper. And really, what other option is there? But it starts on a personal level of Canadians confronting how bad things truly are and just saying something about it. Because that's really what it comes down to, is this fear of saying something, this fear of Pierre Poilievre is afraid to say something that is going to offend the media, and then he'll get called racist. And now his supporters are afraid to say something to call out Pierre Poilievre for being a pussy, because then Pierre Poilievre might not win or something. There's just all of this fear going on and all of this self-deception. There's like, I can't even imagine how many Conservative Party supporters who are supporting Poilievre constantly just self-deceive themselves, ignore the red flags, and then are we really going to be surprised when things get worse? And, you know, the pushback on mass immigration does need to be way bigger, because the numbers have been very high. And we're only noticed, like, in past years, it has been very high, getting bigger, bigger, bigger. And we're only, like, right now, the graph is like that in terms of year to year. But we're only kind of seeing the results of this part, right? Because it kind of has a delay until you see the effects. So until we see that, like, we're going to see the results of the steeper and steeper graph. That is still coming. That is still coming. That is still, like, in the bank, and it's going to be, things are going to get worse, of course. But, yeah. And I mean, that's really kind of all I wanted to say about that. I just kind of wanted to call it out that this guy can't say crazy stuff. How about this? Hey, he can't prioritize unvaccinated nurses who lost their job. That would be too dangerous for him to say. But he can say this.
And we will bring a direct flight to Amritsar.
A direct flight from India? It's just very clear that Pierre Poilievre is owned. He's owned by certain foreign influences and impacting what he says, what he does, what he prioritizes. And of course, it goes without saying, all of this foreign interference talk. Are you kidding me? Anybody in the House of Commons who says they're above the foreign interference, like, that is hilarious. That's just a straight up SNL comedy sketch. I'm pretty sure there's an existing rule in the House of Commons right now that you cannot be a white person and call out foreign interference. It's not allowed. You have to be wearing a turban. You have to be a brown or black person if you're going to say anything about calling out foreign interference. I don't know where that rule is written, but I've been seeing the clips and I'm pretty sure that's a rule. It's like, oh, sorry, you're a white Canadian. You're actually not allowed to say anything about foreign interference. And this is what I mean, guys. We do kind of already live in a weird, it's not an officially enforced authoritarian country, but socially there is this authoritarianism of political correctness that's already in effect. And this is what causes all of the fear. And until we can shatter that, until we can break this, this false authority of political correctness, I don't see how anything is going to change, especially in, like, the mainstream conversation of politics. And that's a big important thing because, because some people say, oh, there's no political solution, blah, blah, blah. No. The institutions are very powerful. These institutions dictate so much. They sway huge swaths of the population, and they are influenceable. We've seen how the People's Party of Canada, Max Bernier, and also the Trucker Convoy was able to push people to the right. We're seeing how these viral clips of a lot of East Indians pooping in the street, pooping on the beach, are radicalizing people to the right. That mainstream conversation is influenceable, but we need to keep pushing and continue to not shit on the beach, but shit on Poilievre. No, but honestly, metaphorically, or you know what I mean? Like, and this is what I don't get. I don't understand why people are afraid to criticize Pierre Poilievre. Why are you afraid to criticize Pierre Poilievre? What do you think is going to happen? It's people are literally so superstitious and skittish when it comes to this proposition. They're afraid that there's going to be some boogeyman who kind of comes out of the closet and eats them. Or it's like the second you criticize Pierre Poilievre on Twitter, it's going to be like, look what you've done now. You've opened Pandora's box, and Justin Trudeau is like, I'm more powerful than ever. Nothing happens. The only thing that happens is it'll be revealed how crazy and brainwashed the average Conservative Party supporter is right now. How hostile they get. Don't you criticize my guy. Don't you criticize my guy. It's so funny. Whenever I have like an effective criticism of Pierre Poilievre, it's usually people saying, People's Party. People's Party sucks, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, I didn't even, like, what are you talking about? I wasn't even talking about him. I made a tweet about this. Hold on. So this was a great tweet by Bernier where he just kind of summarized it all up, giving a bunch of quotes from our our buddy here, Pierre Poilievre. I'm going to rebuild Canada with direct flights to Armor Star, India. The path to permanent residency should be quick. Halt the deportation. Allow them to apply for citizenship. As Prime Minister, I'll remove the gatekeepers to allow for faster immigration. These are things that all Pierre Poilievre has actually said, by the way. We will keep the pressure on Justin Trudeau until all the deportations are stopped. We stand for immigrants, and we will make it faster. And I simply said, these poor Conservative Party supporters get this pointed out to them, and they immediately turn hostile and start criticizing me or the PPC as if that's at all relevant to the Trudeau-like candidate that they're now sheepishly propping up. You know, like, that's always such a red flag to me in politics in general. Doesn't matter the issue. Anytime somebody is, I hate to use the term because it's kind of cringe, but anytime somebody is punching down, that's always a red flag to me. And I mean punching down as in like to the PPC and Max obviously have less influence or smaller platform than the Conservative Party of Canada. But people are like, oh, like these people down there, you and Max, like you guys suck. Shut up. And it's like, if you really care about this country, shouldn't you be pointing up to the people who have more power and influence? Like across the board, this has happened. Another example would be the trucker convoy. The trucker convoy is happening. All of these unvaccinated people are saying like, hey, we want our rights back. We want to be able to go to a restaurant. What are all the media people doing in this country? They're not criticizing the politicians. They're not criticizing the people in power who are around the levers of power, the people in the House of Commons and the Senate. No, they're criticizing Joe Schmo at the protest. They're criticizing one little person who showed up at the protest. Hey, look at this person. This person picked his nose. Isn't he ugly? Like one little small thing of like a small peon and what they did. That's always such a huge red flag to show me that either that person isn't serious or they're just ignorance and they just totally don't get it. You know, like I'm focused on the people who are in power and are making decisions that are going to be detrimental to the future of this country. You? Oh, don't criticize the guy who's being dishonest over and over again. Don't criticize the guy who's being subversive and serving foreign interests and everybody except for, you know, proud, patriotic Canadians. Yeah. But I think we're going to pretty well wrap it up in just a second here. I just kind of wanted to come on to rant about that. Just kind of like for the record, you know, told you so. I mean, wouldn't you know it? Pierre Poilievre is second to the punch. Justin Trudeau beat Poilievre to the punch to actually suggesting lower immigration numbers. Does it get any more cut and dry than that? Justin Trudeau beat Poilievre to the punch of disavowing the foreign workers and now actually saying we need to reduce immigration levels. What? How do you even defend Pierre Poilievre at this point as being an actual opposition leader or Conservative Party leader? It doesn't make any sense. And I guess while we're on the topic, something else worthy of pointing out is there is a weird sort of like dynamic that happens between the Conservative Party of Canada and their supporters and the kind of influencer gatekeepers below them. Pierre Poilievre will only sometimes say things that oppose political correctness, but he never does it in the House of Commons or at a podium or talking to a journalist. Anytime he might say something having to do with the convoy, having to do with actually opposing immigration or wanting to defund the CBC, that's always done at one of his own events or sort of a sort of off the beaten path environment. He will never do that, hardly ever, actually at a podium, actually in the House of Commons. He will never say these things that disrupt, the political correct sort of supremacy. And a great example is not just mass immigration, but of course the gender ideology. It's pathetic. It's pathetic. When you call this out, people say, no, look, one time he tweeted about this, one time sort of alluded to it. Here's a clip where he sort of alludes to it. It's totally pathetic, guys. If this guy actually believed that and he actually opposed that, you'd be able to find clip upon clip upon clip of him saying that because that's what he believes. But you can't. And that's what I posted. That's what I posted my initial kind of video earlier tonight. Well, the initial video I posted earlier tonight of like the 3 minutes of him supporting mass immigration. And I asked below, I'm like, why can't any CPC supporter create a similar compilation of him opposing mass immigration and multiculturalism? It's because you can't. It's because the clips don't exist. Okay? And it was actually funny because I was calling him out earlier today. And sure enough, Daniel Boardman replied saying, oh, like, you're an idiot. Like, you're so lazy. Here he is right here doing that. And it's like, dude, this is a tweet of his from a long time ago. And, you know, it's like so desperate and proving my point. It's like, you need to go back and find one of his old tweets. You need to go and find like one little 2-second clip where he says something, or he's using the stuff from today and saying, see, he opposes mass immigration. And it's like, that happened today after Trudeau opposed mass immigration. You're proving my point that this guy is antithetical to leadership. He is not a leader by any stretch of the imagination. So, to summarize, this is the future of conservatism in Canada, establishment conservatism. We have somebody who is a war hawk. He's warmongering for both Ukraine and also Israel, and, you know, to escalate the conflict going on in the Middle East. So he's serving the interests of the Ukraine and NATO. He's serving the interests of Israel. He serves the interests of other foreign nations. He wants to get direct flights from India. He wants more family reunification. He wants more foreign doctors, more foreign workers. He just wants to make sure that they get here more effectively. What is conservative about any of this? And how does this help Canadians at all? And the thing is, aside from the empty words that he says, and aside from axe the carbon tax, like, that's all he does is serve foreign interests, serve the interests of these different groups. And I just feel like it's getting very obvious at this point. And actually, I will share this meme that Derek posted, which I thought was very funny. You know, and to be clear, I've wanted to make up with Clyde Do Something. He started to act very hostile towards me because I don't know, because I was pointing out some of his hypocrisy. And I was standing up for some of the things that Ferryman was saying, having to do with like race realism, basically, which is becoming very real. But this is kind of the absolute, this meme is kind of the absolute state of Canadian, like, right-wing content creators. We got Clyde, who, if I'm not mistaken, is leaving the country. We got a popular East Indian guy. I'm pretty sure he lives in East India. And then we have a Zionist, Daniel Boardman. So we got the white guy leaving, the East Indian trying to be as friendly as possible, saying, hey, I'm a Canadian just like you. And the Zionist saying, like, yeah, he's a Canadian just like you. By the way, we should bomb Iran. That's what we got. That's more or less kind of what we got at play here in the Canadian right wing. The only way to do something about it is to start to say something about it. And on that note, what I'm like, I don't know if I'm going to continue to do controlled opposition. I just kind of wanted to hop on to show people, you know, kind of do a little bit of a victory lap and see, like, told you so. This is totally happening. And this guy is a feckless nerd loser who unfortunately cannot even oppose mass immigration until Justin Trudeau does it. Pathetic. But what I'm focusing on all my effort on is stopping Bill C-63 and opposing the censorship industry here in Canada. I mentioned the supremacy of political correctness. We're all afraid of it. We're all afraid of it because there are smear merchants in this country. They work in the media. Sometimes they're academics, and other times there's organizations like the Canadian Anti-Hate Network, which also do their own smear pieces to try and ruin people's reputations. No one that I can see is actually fighting against this whole phenomenon. So that's why I've started SaveFreeSpeech.ca. You can check out SaveFreeSpeech.ca. Just go to SaveFreeSpeech.ca, of course. And if you really want to help us out, or if you want to support me in general, then please support our fundraiser. We're creating a documentary. It should be out early next year. But you can go to givesendgo.com/SaveFreeSpeech and donate to us there. It's very, very, it's going to be really good work. It's going to be creating something that is going to fight back against this supremacy of political correctness, and also exposing this censorship industry in Canada that really causes people to be afraid of saying anything, causes people to be afraid of it. It justifies Pierre Poilievre's fear of getting called racist. You know, it justifies all this fear of him like wanting to actually say anything because the media might call him names. Whoa, big super chat from Silverman and Buddy with $100. Thank you so much, sir. I really appreciate it. Thanks again for tuning in to Controlled Opposition. I've got another one, $20 from Mark Burford. Say no to civic nationalism. FPR, Google Century Initiative Canada. Continued success, Greg. God bless. Thank you so much, Mark Burford, for the $20. Really good super chat, by the way. This is an important distinction. I brought up, this is similar to civic nationalism. It's this colorblind meritocracy. This is something that people are pushing, which is, you know, the culture of your nation is only values on paper. It has nothing to do with the actual people. It has nothing to do with their heritage, their ethnic heritage. So again, it has to do a lot with like the cultural erasure of actual Canadians that we're seeing. And that's why I need a red ensign flag, guys. I really need to get a red ensign flag. All right. So who is this? This is a conservative candidate from Pickering, fresh from India, talks about the community undergoing a transformative change, and she is the best face for this change. So this is a conservative candidate. Again, I guess we're worried about foreign interference or something, right? But we're also going to have people fresh from India running for the Conservative Party. Ruchi's values are rooted in creating good jobs, fair tax policies, affordable housing, and prioritizing healthcare, wellness, and safety. She passionately advocates for parent empowerment and education improvement. Just a bunch of buzzwords. But really, that reminds me of another sort of like general tenet that we're getting from Pierre Poilievre, which is he basically wants you to be a consumer. You know, a lot of what he is saying is, I want you to be a consumer. I want you to come. I want you to work. I want you to buy things. And there is no larger project as a Canadian. It's just come, consume, come work and consume. Nothing to do with, you know, being a great nation. It's just like, hey, we're just a vassal state. We'll send our weapons to foreign nations. But if you come here, you're just going to be a slave. You're going to work and you're going to buy a house. That's it. And I say all this, and I've said this many, many times on the show, things could be so much better. Things could be so much better. And it starts with this little mustard seed of hope and also imagination. Imagining that it could be better. Imagining that we could have higher standards. Imagining that we didn't live under this political correctness sort of tyranny that we do live in now. The immigration agent who organized the Manitoba protest is now talking behind closed doors with the Ontario Ministry of Labour for a path to permanent residency for all the Punjabi students in Ontario. This is an invasion. So this is, for those who don't know, there were protesters, foreign students, international students protesting in Manitoba to stay in Canada, and if I'm not mistaken, they won. So this is a clip from the immigration agent. Is it the immigration agent? Anyway, let's just watch it.
A detailed meeting with Minister of Labour, Immigration, Training and Skills Development Ontario was conducted today, along with International Sikh Student Association and Naujawan Support Network. In that meeting, we discussed about various challenges about the people who have their PGWPs expiring or work permits expiring in Ontario, not just this year, but in the coming years as well. So not just 2024, but 2025 as well. Also, we focused on the challenges that are currently being faced by a lot of OINP applicants, ranging from early childhood educators to GNM nurses. We also talked about the skilled trade draws and how the frequency of draws has become a biggest challenge in Ontario for skilled trade applicants, along with the processing times, that even if somebody's work permit is expiring by end of this year, that still is a concerning factor if they receive the invitation today.
Just conservative value stuff. Just stuff to get you in the country. And, you know, once again, who's talking about this? Pierre Poilievre is not talking about this. If anything, he is encouraging this type of stuff. Here's one more. Hundreds of thousands of low-skilled Punjabs are going to get permanent residency by protesting. These people in Manitoba got it by protesting. They have to go back. And will the Conservatives allow the Khalistani movement to continue to hijack Canada? So this is a clip from Jagmeet Singh. Hold on.
ਸਤਿ ਸ਼੍ਰੀ ਅਕਾਲ। ਇੱਥੇ ਅਸੀਂ ਟੀਮ ਈਸੂ ਵੱਲੋਂ ਇਕੱਠੇ ਹੋਏ ਆ ਮਿਸਟਰ ਜਗਮੀਤ ਸਿੰਘ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦਾ ਧੰਨਵਾਦ ਕਰਨ ਲਈ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਕਿ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਵਰਕ ਪਰਮਿਟ ਐਕਸਟੈਂਸ਼ਨ ਮੈਨੀਟੋਬਾ ਦੇ ਇੰਟਰਨੈਸ਼ਨਲ ਵਰਕਰਸ ਲਈ ਉਹ 'ਚ ਬਹੁਤ ਵੱਡਾ ਯੋਗਦਾਨ ਪਾਇਆ ਹੈ ਤੇ ਅਸੀਂ ਈਸੂ ਟੀਮ ਵੱਲੋਂ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦਾ ਧੰਨਵਾਦ ਕਰਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਤੇ ਹੁਣ ਦੋ ਸ਼ਬਦ ਮਿਸਟਰ ਸਿੰਘ ਆਪ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਕਹਿਣਗੇ।
ਚਲੋ ਮਾਣ ਹੈ ਅਸਲ 'ਚ ਸਟੂਡੈਂਟ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਆਪ ਨੇ ਬਹੁਤ ਵਧੀਆ ਨੁਮਾਇੰਦਗੀ ਕੀਤੀ ਆ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਲੜੇ ਤੇ ਆਪਾਂ ਜਿੰਨਾ ਕਿ ਸਾਡੇ ਕੋਲ ਥੋੜਾ ਮੌਕਾ ਸੀਗਾ ਕਿ ਆਪਾਂ ਤੁਹਾਡੀ ਗੱਲ ਨੂੰ ਗਾਂਹ ਪਹੁੰਚਾ ਸਕੇ ਤੇ ਮਾਣ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਇਹਦਾ ਹੱਲ ਹੋਇਆ ਜਿੰਨਾ ਕਿ ਆਪਾਂ ਸੇਵਾ ਕਰ ਸਕਦਾ ਆਪਾਂ ਕਰਨਾ।
So in conclusion, what opposition? Where's the opposition to this? It's the People's Party of Canada and Diagolon and the people watching. That's it. It's definitely not Pierre Poilievre. If anything, you can watch the 3-minute clip that I recently posted on my Twitter. He's for all of this stuff. Faster family reunification, faster getting foreign workers to get permanent residency, faster, better, faster, stronger. He doesn't oppose mass immigration. He wants it to be more effective. And along with all the actual numbers and the actual statistics and actual specifics of immigration, there is an underlying cultural current in a way that's much more dangerous, which is the erasure of being Canadian at all. I brought up the guy's face here a second ago. I was watching him in a podcast, and he was basically saying that the Khalistani movement is a Canadian problem. All of these crazy Khalistanis running around with swords and being extreme. This East Indian guy is calling it a Canadian problem. That sounds absurd now, but if we allow these people, our politicians, Pierre Poilievre, continue to water down what that word Canadian means, imagine a Black Mirror episode 5 years from now when it is quite accepted that an Indian person could be Canadian, like is Canadian, like someone who's wearing a turban. Oh, absolutely. The most Canadians are like that now. That's where we're headed, where the word Canadian really ceases to mean anything having to do with our history, having to do with the red ensign, having to do with how it got here today. It actually, invasion complete. And at that point, let's face it, these people have a much more stronger cultural conviction to their people and their lineage and ancestry. So they'll probably try to change the flag again or try to make a Khalistani state, whatever, And until the Canadians who actually give a shit about this country stand up and start speaking out against Pierre Poilievre and saying this is not good enough, our country and our culture is being erased, and this guy is enabling it, unless we start to just speak our minds and feel emboldened to do that, nothing's going to change. Nothing's going to change. But I really do appreciate you guys tuning in. That has been another episode of Controlled Opposition. Man, it's been a while. It's been a while, hasn't it? It has been a while. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thanks again for the big super chat, Silverman and Buddy. I appreciate it. Wasn't it racist of the natives to not want the white man to settle? Actually, you know what? You inspired me. You inspired me, Josephat. There's one more thing I'm going to go off about here, which is another clip from Pierre Poilievre that he posted that, it just kind of drives home the point here. This is when they got the new passports. They erased the past to control the future.
Your passport. Why has Trudeau redone it to delete Terry Fox, who ran halfway across the country on one leg to fight cancer?
Did you know that there's a guy who had one leg who was also fighting cancer who actually made it the whole way across the country? And the Canadian establishment just does not recognize this guy. Anyway, it's kind of interesting. Canadians love failure. This is something that I heard a cool guy talking about once.
Why did he delete the Vimy Memorial, which honors 3,598 soldiers who died? Why did he delete this beautiful war memorial, or even the Parliament buildings beyond it? Well, to answer that question, you need to get the country that Trudeau wants us to become.
Hold on. Why did you delete this? Why did you delete that? Remember in 2021 when the news media said our history is inherently genocidal and we kill all these Native kids? And then the entire House of Commons agreed and said, yes, the residential schools were genocide. We're all inherently racist. This Conservative Party participates in the exact same thing, probably on a worse level. They passed a motion, the entire House of Commons, to say that our history is residential schools is genocide. That's way more damning and damaging to Canadian history and our identity than anything else. And once again, where's the opposition? I'm waiting for the opposition, Poilievre. I'm waiting. Oh, no, but he'd be called racist if he said anything. Great. I guess we're just going to be, once again, slaves to the media and slaves to this political correct supremacy that we're pressed upon under here in Canada. Anyway, that's it. Thanks for tuning in, guys. I appreciate it. Another episode of Controlled Opposition. I'm personally going to be focusing on SaveFreeSpeech.ca. There's a lot coming up with that. We're working on the documentary. And yeah, once again, if you want to support that, you can go to givesendgo.com/SaveFreeSpeech. Otherwise, just check out the website at SaveFreeSpeech.ca. Yeah, I really appreciate people tuning in. And there you go. Until next time, it's okay to demand higher standards. Thank you for watching.